The most economic kind of monster. I like how it turned out in the final product. When you realize that it's pretty much just a random guy in dark clothes, holding 2 flashlights and an image of some teeth, you wonder how it could ever work, but seeing it for the first time, it does look pretty convincing. The smilers are quite rare, appearing only on very specific occasions. They are a very passive type of monster, just quietly watching the player and doing their own thing. On a very rare occasions, 2 can be seen together, but usually they are solitary creatures. They produce quite loud noises that echo throughout the world, so most players will hear them first. A smiler has no physical shape and could be just a hallucination of a tired mind. When you do see one, you will mostly notice 2 bright eyes and a creepy smile glowing in darkness. When you focus on the situation in which you encounter these things, you can quickly realize how much they rely on tricks and very careful placement in the world. This is because, for a smiler to exist and work, specific conditions must be met. A smiler is nothing more than a regular guy with a special material on his body and a few attached objects. This material is invisible against a skybox and visible but black against any object or ground. This is why every time you see a smiler, it is always from below, looking up at dark open sky. That way, the man himself is invisible to the player. Next, 2 lights attached to his head. These are the smiler's eyes. The lights are only visible at night, but the mission is set at night, so no issues there. The mouth is a 1 meter large texture, again attached to his head. The texture is mostly transparent, with only the teeth part being visible. Once all of this is done, the soldier is then locked into a looping animation to give the smiler some sense of movement, to make it feel a bit more alive, and of course have the man rotate to always face the player. That way you don't lose the illusion with the 2D image of the teeth. If you could see that from an angle, you would quickly see through the trick, but always seeing it from the same angle makes it seem like it's following you, and that it could be a full model. That means the whole monster doesn't need any mods, just a script or 2 and a texture file. The process of creating the texture is very simple and just needs a lot of fiddling to get right. But it doesn't need anything too complex, script-wise it's fairly simple, and then you edit 1 image and it's done. Last important aspect is the rarity at which it can be encountered. If you saw 20 of them throughout the mission, you would probably see through the effects and just laugh at them. But seeing maybe 1 or 2 at most over half an hour, and only very briefly, makes the encounter more believable. You have very limited options to examine them, so your mind is less likely to see through the trick.